Most investors lose money for one simple reason. They don't follow the rules. They follow the hype. They follow emotion. They follow the crowd. I've invested in over $400 million in real estate, and I'll tell you this, if you're not living by these 6 golden rules, you're not investing. You're flat out gambling. These rules have protected me and my investors through every cycle, and today I'm handing them to you. Golden rule number 1, don't invest in what you don't understand. It's really simple. If it takes a physics degree and a quantum calculator to figure out how this deal works, it's definitely not for you. Because the first thing you have to be able to do is you have to be able to make sense of it. I've said this many times, real estate isn't easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. It's simple. You're buying an asset, you're collecting rents on that asset, you're paying the loans and the expenses, and there's money left over at the end for you. If that's not abundantly clear in how this deal works, then it's definitely not something you want to get involved with. This is something that you would be gambling, or you would be relying completely on others to get this deal done. You really need to look at it and go, you know what? If push came to shove, at the end of the day, could I figure this deal out? Could I manage this deal? And that's the easy reality of where you need to be. If you could figure it out, I got to hire a property management company. I got to hire a maintenance guy. I've got to make sure they take care of the property. If it's that simple, then it's probably something you could get involved with and be successful, because that's all the operators got to figure out. Golden rule number 2, pro forma is a pitch. Reality lives in the downside. Look, if somebody tells you they're going to do you a 30% IRR and they're going to have it for you in 2 years again, that's probably just a pro forma speaking. What you have to do is you have to take the pro forma and you have to look at the market. Just because they say that this unit is worth $1,600 a month, what are units in that area really renting for? Are they getting $1,600 a month, or are they more than that? Are they less than that? Have they been historically getting the rent bumps that these guys are talking about? If not, that's a huge red flag, because I can sit there and say, I'm going to get 3% a year. And maybe that is on a $1,500 unit, it's going to be $45 a month. But if I put in the pro forma that I'm going to get $150, well, that's obviously going to make my returns look a lot better. But is that a reality? So you've got to do some of your own verification. And it's very easy to do that with the internet nowadays and find out what the average rents are within a 3-mile radius. Heck, look at the property, look at Google Earth, find out what's around you, and just pick up the phone and start calling and asking what similar properties are getting for rents. That's the easiest way to verify that the pro forma is based in reality. If these rules are helping you already, good. That's the point. I want to go one step further. I took everything I've learned from 425 million in deals, the patterns, the pitfalls, the way I de-risk every opportunity, and put it into a free investor's guide. This isn't a recap of the video. It's the hard stuff we don't have time to cover right here. Exactly how I underwrite, I structure, I pressure test every deal before it hits my investor table. And here's the catch. We're only giving away 20 free copies at this time. So if you're seeing this, grab it before the next person does. The link's in the description. Golden rule number 3. If the underwriting only works in a perfect market, it doesn't work, because no market is perfect. What was doing a 10% rent bump this year maybe got a little overstimulated and isn't going to give those bumps next year. Maybe there's a bunch of new product coming on the market that's going to put up some competition that you didn't have when you bought the apartment complex. Those are the kind of things that you need to look at. They are what we call red flags. And the reason that they're so important for you to identify is because if you need perfect market conditions for things to work, if you're taking a $45 rent bump and you're pushing that to $150, and that's what gets you to any cash on cash in year one, that's probably something you need to walk away from and at least do some more study on it before you invest. Golden rule number 4, grow slow to finish strong. Look, the things that help you avoid traps is chasing deals and scaling too fast. You can do things on 5 different apartment complexes in 2 different markets that you're not going to be able to do on 10 different apartment complexes in 4 different markets. You've got to figure out how to scale sensibly and be able to backfill when things come apart, because we always have employees leaving, we have people's lives change, we have market conditions that change. Everything is constantly changing, and you've got to have a system that not only can scale, but it can flex and it can cover the gaps. And so you're not stretched so thin that something happens, you've got a problem in an apartment complex, your manager snaps, walks out, now all of a sudden you've got something in a state that's not close to you, and you're scrambling trying to get somebody in there so you can continue to collect rents. The other trap that we saw a lot of people falling into in 21 and 22 was chasing deals, getting into a best and final multiple times where you're continuing to massage the number, continuing to figure out how you can stretch more returns out of it, continuing to go down a road that leaves very little meat on the bone. Then market conditions change, people don't stick around, all those kinds of things. And now you're stretched so thin that the margins are gone and you find yourself in a cash strap situation. This is never a good opportunity for growth. This is diametrically opposed to good, solid growth. So you want to make sure that you don't fall into those 2 things. Golden rule number 5, you want to get alignment over excitement. Look, you don't want to be sitting here going from a 1980 200 unit apartment complex to a 2022 condo type with 12 units. That's not going to provide continuity. You want to be able to build out standard operating procedures that fit anywhere in your company with 90% of your assets. I get it. Sometimes you do different deals, but there's a reason for that, and it's very close to what you're already doing. If you're managing high-end apartments and then you take on a Section 8 property, you're going to have a lot of differences in just the way you're going to get paid on those Section 8 vouchers. Is your company ready for that? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the turnover? Are you ready for the different kinds of things that happen? And this is how you build deals where everyone stays aligned from day one to the exit, because it's company wide. It's almost like your culture. You're doing certain things in certain markets with certain types of real estate to get certain types of results, and they're all really close to the same. And it makes things a lot easier because what fits over here also fits over here. Golden rule number 6, protect the downside. The upside will take care of itself. Time is your friend, and it gets you where you need to go if your downside is protected. But every time that I have not considered the downside to be as catastrophic as it could be, I've always found myself in a situation that I've regretted. I've had to work twice as hard to get the deal to pencil, to get it to work. And oftentimes we haven't done the kind of returns that we could have if we had paid more attention to the downside. Look, having a little bit more in cash reserve does not torpedo the returns. But if you don't have it, you're not in a position to take advantage of things that may be available to you. Sometimes you might find yourself deferring maintenance that now costs more because you didn't have the money to do it then. All kinds of things like that that make it difficult when you're not in the right place. So you've got to really seriously consider the downside. These 6 rules have protected me and my investors for over 30 years. But here's the truth. If you're 40 and just getting started, these alone aren't going to be enough. You've got less time to waste, less rooms for mistakes. You need a clear path and a focused strategy and a way to build real wealth while protecting your time. That's exactly why I made this next video. It breaks down how I'd get into real estate from scratch if I were starting today at 40 years old. Click the video on your screen right now, because if you wait another year, you'll lose another year.